Today, we're diving deep into a topic that sits at the heart of this show, empathetic marketing. My guest is Emily Lyman, the founder and CEO of Bramble, an agency known for helping brands tap into the emotions that actually drive decision making. Emily believes, and I completely agree, that while most companies obsess over data and analytics, they often forget the real reason people buy, which is how something makes them feel. Through her work and leadership, she's disrupting the marketing industry by encouraging brands to move away from the passive and positive mentality that's plagued individuals and brands for decades, and instead to be frank and truthful with their audience. Her approach is data-backed, as the Edelman Trust Barometer indicates that more and more people are punishing brands who put profit before people. Bramble has been named as one of the top U.S. digital marketing agencies on Yahoo Finance, as well as one of the top digital marketing agencies in New York. Emily shares what empathetic marketing really means and why it's different from just telling a brand story, how understanding core human values like belonging, family, and security can transform your messaging, why listening to customer service calls and asking deeper questions are secret weapons for uncovering what your audience truly cares about, and a fascinating example of how reframing Patagonia's book promotions around emotion and thrill led to a 104% increase in clicks. Plus, you'll hear about a free online tool from Harvard to help you uncover unconscious biases that might be hurting your marketing. If you're curious how to create content and campaigns that resonate on a human level and not just check a data box, you're going to love this episode. Welcome to Marketing with Empathy, the podcast for brands that want to market to mom customers. Moms influence or control 85% of household purchases, making them a lucrative market to figure out. But many brands struggle to connect with moms through their content. Whether moms are your only audience or they're one of several target audiences, they're an important one to figure out for so many brands. And if you're here, I'm guessing that's you too. I'm your host, Sarah Panus, and I have more than 20 years of experience working with high growth and Fortune 1000 companies across all industries, including Sleep Number, SheFit, American Express, LegalZoom, JHL Turf Pros, and more. So tune in here for ideas that'll get your products and services into the hands of more moms who need them, so your brand can effectively reach more customers and drive those all-important leads and sales. And thanks to your support, this podcast is in the top 5% of all podcasts and a proud member of the Marketing Podcast Network. So let's hear from today's sponsors and then jump right in. Hey guys, let me ask you a question. How confident are you that your content actually connects in every market? You know, if you're guessing, it might be time to check out a new company I've just learned about called Phrase. Phrase is the industry-leading AI localization platform, and it helps you deliver content in multiple languages without losing your tone, your message, or your mind. It automates the manual work, slashes review time, gives you real data on what's working where. So brands like Uber and Zendesk trust Phrase to scale their content across the globe and to get it right every time. So if you're serious about reaching more people and driving better results internationally, head over to phrase.com/MPN and take a look. That's phrase.com/MPN.
Are you tired of juggling multiple software tools to manage your agency? Say hello to Deltek Workbook, the ultimate solution for marketing and communication agencies. With Workbook, you can streamline your projects, resources, and finances all in one place. Imagine real-time dashboards and reports giving you full visibility into your projects, people, and financials. Plan your team's capacity weeks in advance to avoid bottlenecks while staying on budget to maximize project margins. Plus, Workbook works perfectly for both agencies and in-house marketing teams looking to boost efficiency and profitability. And here's the best part. At PCI, we're a certified Deltek partner and reseller offering expert implementation, integrations, and ongoing support to ensure your success. Want to see how Deltek Workbook can transform your operations? For a free consultation, visit pci.us/podcast today. That's pci.us/podcast.
Emily, I'm really excited to dig into this topic with you because you do this on a day in and day out basis with your agency. This show's called Marketing with Empathy. So we get into how we better connect with our audiences. You talk about empathetic marketing, and I'm curious from your perspective, what does empathetic marketing mean to you?
Yeah, so it's marketing that really goes beyond that brand story and really understands, recognizes, and appeals to the role that emotions have in the decision-making process. So I think we tend to forget that we are emotional creatures. So neuroscientist Antonio Damasio shared, hey, we are not thinking machines that feel, rather we are feeling machines that think. So we actually can't make a decision if we can't feel. That's everybody across the board, just human nature. And I think today's world is so much into data points and analytics and measuring that we tend to sometimes lose focus of that core emotional value that drives our decisions.
Yeah. And so we're going to dig more into that then today in terms of it's nice to hear that, but then how do you actually do that for all the brands listening? Like, how do they better tap into their audiences and what they're feeling and what they're thinking? So, first up, I think where I want to start is you talk about value graphics, and we've heard of psychographics and demographics. What are value graphics?
So value graphics look at the underlying human values that drive our emotions, right? If I were to sketch it out on a board, it's that values drive our emotions and emotions drive our decisions. David Allison and his team were the first to map and put data points to values. For the listeners out there, if you want to research David Allison and value graphics, that's where it first started. And they found that in total, there are 56 core human values. They also discovered that togetherness cluster, which is a list of 4 values that are always represented in some way, shape, or form across every single consumer group, across every type of brand. So from B2B to B2C, high tech, retail, etc. And these values of the togetherness cluster, they may or may not be at the top of the list for driving purchase decisions. However, they always play some role. So value graphics takes into account those 56 core underlying human values that exist in the world. And given how many people there are, I was really flabbergasted that there were only 56.
Yeah.
But it's really a missing piece, I find, that's been missing in marketing.
So what are those 4 values in that together cluster? What are the most common values that everyone seems to have?
So it's family, relationships, community, and belonging.
Community and belonging to me feel similar. Like, what's the difference between those two?
For some, community isn't where they find their belonging, right? It could be a place that you find that you belong. It could be, where do you find your innermost comfort? Is that a job? Is that a hobby? Is that a place? Is that a person? Is that a community? Belonging means so many different things to different people.
Got it. That makes sense. So for work, we could be part of a professional organization or a community, and those are our people, but we may not feel like a deep sense of belonging, like in our core and within our hearts. Okay, that makes sense. And are there any values that moms tend to index higher for? Of those 4, for sure, I would say family is going to be a really big one. But of those 4, of all the 56, are there any that jump out at you that tend to be values that moms would index higher for?
Well, you definitely nailed the family piece, which I think both you and I feel as moms, but also specifically community with the addition of financial security. There are several different types of security within the list of 56. There's job security, financial security, and then just security in general, which would be maybe physical security, etc. So it's really interesting to see that you can break it out in that way, but for moms specifically, financial security, right? And that ties into how do I provide the best for my family and make sure that I can give them everything that they need. And then with community, I would say that's also big with moms, just because a lot of times I know I felt it, and a lot of moms, when we kind of do focus groups and talks to moms, when you have a child, you're like, I can't give my child everything that they need, and I want to find a community that does that, whether that's family, whether that's friends. It's making sure they're getting out all the experiences. And how do you do that? And you mostly do that through community.
I would even add on to that too. I had a previous guest on and we were talking about mobile marketing and different apps and things that moms use. And there's also the element of community around how isolating it can feel as a mom sometimes because you're trying to do everything and you can feel really overwhelming. And there's just a lot of things that are happening. And I think the community, to me, it also made me think of just trying to find people who get you and understand, and you need that support from your community to survive and thrive as a mom because it's a very, very hard job. And sometimes I think we make it harder on ourselves than it has to be because we put all this extra pressure on ourselves. But if we have more of a community and a support system that we can go to for all the different things, then it feels less. Okay, so community, financial security, family are definitely ones that will rise to the top more for moms. Okay, so that's great, guys. As you're listening, be thinking about that with your own products and services too of, okay, does what you offer moms help in any of those areas? And that would definitely be an area where you should talk about it more because that would appeal more to her values. How does a company actually hone in on what their audience values?
Yes, and I want to preface this with saying that we as humans don't have just one or two or even four values that drive our decisions. At any given time, depending on our goals, where we're at in life, those values might change in weight. But chances are, brands, companies, they already have a ton of avenues for gathering this data. And so the next step is assessing all of your consumer interactions through that empathetic lens. So this could look like sending out surveys, identifying keywords that your consumers are saying across all platforms. What are they saying in forums, chats, social media comments, customer service calls? No marketer listens to customer service calls. I guarantee you they are a gold mine of information. And then you'll start to see patterns emerge. And these patterns are your customer values. Whatever methods you use, you're not listening just to understand. You're taking a step further and you're listening to understand why your customers are saying what they're saying. It's the difference of if you look at Volvo, and a big piece of Volvo is safety. They're one of the safest car brands, et cetera, et cetera. Well, if you just say, hey, Volvo is top of the line in safety, sure, that kind of gets to a value. But if you were to target moms, you can say, hey, keep your family safe this summer on your road trips. And what I find with empathetic marketing is usually they're not huge shifts. They're just really tiny tweaks that you can make to your messaging, to your comms, to your landing pages that better resonate with your target audiences.
Yeah, 100% agree. When I'm working with clients on content strategy, that's what it is. Like, and when we're auditing and trying to listen and figuring out how do we talk about this, it's a lot of times just to your point, it's just you need to go that level deeper. Just even asking the question, why or what are they feeling? Why is this going to resonate? What problems are they having? Like, it's going to always make your content better connect and your interactions better connect with whoever you're trying to reach, whether that's moms or other audiences. If we're doing surveys and different things like that that you mentioned, what are good questions to ask to ID a customer's values?
I love that actual question because
Great.
so many people think, well, I'm asking questions, right? I'm doing the job already. But I suggest first looking at the types of questions that you're asking. Are they product focused? Are they brand focused? Are you only asking the standard, rate us on a scale of 1 to 5? How did we help you today? It is perfectly acceptable to start asking your customers direct questions that focus more on values, even if they don't relate directly to your brand. So if you're sending out a survey, why do you go to work every day? Why would you give away half of your lottery winnings? These are going to start to help you tap into the fundamental core values of your audience. And for product focused questions, I'm not saying don't ask them. Please still ask them. But ask what product features a customer places more importance on. So when asking why they use a product, give a multiple choice where the answer focuses on values. It speeds up my routine. It gives me more bang for my buck. This will all help you start to figure out that important why piece.
Ooh, I love that. Those are great examples. Thank you. Okay, so then as we're doing this, then let's talk results because you've got some great results. Patagonia was one of your clients. Talk about the results that they saw after you worked with them on their social media program to include more empathetic marketing.
Yeah, so this takes a little bit of a backstory, which I won't take up too much time with, but a focus value for Patagonia's consumers is experiences. And they have what we call a high impact buying motivator of sense of thrill. So that is what drives their buying decisions. We reworked Patagonia's marketing comms specifically in their books division to put these elements front and center, right? So when promoting, say, a climbing event and author, instead of sticking to the general, this is the author, they climbed all these highest peaks, look at the records they broke, yay, right? We delved deeper into the author's experience and how consumers could actually relive those thrilling, and personally, I'm a climber, but sometimes downright terrifying experiences. So phrases like, experience the pain of oxygen deprivation, or is climbing worth dying for? These shifts towards empathy can be made across all touch points, which is what we did. Landing pages, drip campaigns, ad copy. Specifically with Patagonia, a full program shift in their books division led to a 59% increase in overall consumer engagement and a 104% increase in clicks.
That's huge. You're getting more awareness, but then you're getting consideration with the click and getting them over. And it's also interesting because I didn't know Patagonia had a books division. I think of them as all the like outerwear and everything else. So that's really interesting that this was like focused in on those books and that angle and the examples of how one way of talking about it versus tapping into that thrill motivator, like reliving those elements in the copy as you highlighted those kind of more exciting excerpts of what it was like. That's what led to all these increases that you saw.
Yep, 100%.
We had talked before and you had mentioned that a lot of marketers maybe think they're empathetic and they're trying to do a good job, but they might be bad at guessing what the audience wants because we all have biases that we're just unaware of in our day-to-day based on how we were raised or grew up or experiences we've had in our life. Twofold question then. What are sort of those main biases that we as marketers should be aware of as we're creating campaigns and content for our companies, for our clients? And then can you talk about the Harvard tool that you had told me about as well?
Marketing managers focus on their bias and personal preferences rather than empathy to make their predictions. But studies do show that once marketers are alerted to their bias, they do correctly predict customer reactions. So it's not just you'll never get there.
Okay, good.
So to your question, there are 5 different types of bias. Affinity, which is gravitating towards people who are similar to you. Think every cafeteria in high school in the history of ever. Age, gender, name, and then race, ethnicity.
What is name?
Essentially, we don't know it, or we might not know it, but we look at a name and will make a certain assumption about the person behind that name, whether it is gender, whether it is race or ethnicity, whether it is any of those. It could even be wealth. If you think about the upper echelon of the 1% might name their children or what's trending. There are so many different stereotypes out there and our own thinkings that will make a quick snap decision based on a name. They're unconscious bias for a reason. So Harvard's Project Implicit is a great one to help with the identification process.
And is that available online? So
it is free and online.
Okay, so it's if you search Harvard unbiased test, it should pop up? Or
yeah, test Harvard's Project Implicit, and that will pop up.
Emily's final piece of advice to help your brand reach more mom customers is to design your marketing with empathy. No pun intended with the name of the show. She means it. Your customers will emotionally unsubscribe before they physically unsubscribe. So let me just say that again. She says your customers will emotionally unsubscribe before they physically unsubscribe. So to increase conversion, you first need to increase connection. And we can do this through the marketing messages that you write and craft every single day. If this has resonated with you and you would like to connect with Emily and check out all the links that she mentioned, here's the ways that you can start to make those empathetic changes to your marketing immediately. Emily and her team at Branch and Bramble have put together a free ebook with the exact steps to take to become a better empathetic marketer and build those meaningful connections with your target audience. I'll drop the link in the show notes here, but if you go to their website at branchandbramble.com/empathetic-marketing. Okay, branchandbramble.com/empathetic-marketing. So feel free to send Emily a direct email as well. Her email is emily@branchandbramble.com, or you can follow Emily Lyman on LinkedIn or visit their website at branchandbramble.com. Thank you so much for listening to this conversation that Emily and I had. I hope you're leaving with fresh ideas about how you can bring more empathy into your marketing and why it matters so much, especially when you're trying to connect with moms and value-driven consumers. Remember, as Emily shared, even tiny tweaks in how you speak to your audience, rooted in their core values, can lead to big results. If you want to dig deeper into uncovering unconscious bias, don't forget to check out the Harvard Project Implicit Test. I've linked to it in today's show notes for you. And if this episode inspired you, please take a moment to share it with a colleague or leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps more marketers discover the show and become better storytellers and content marketers overall. So until next time, keep showing up with empathy, keep telling stories that make people feel something. Until next week, God bless.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe.